ever dread the office because of toxic people? We're pitting Robert Greene's ruthless character reading against Vivek Murthy's focus on connection. Is that difficult boss a threat to avoid, or someone who's just lonely? We'll test both philosophies against real-world chaos. Stick around for the hybrid verdict, a decision matrix to help you screen the toxic, connect with the worthy, and finally stop feeling drained. Let's look at your typical work week. If you've been in the trenches for a while, you know that people have a funny way of slowly breaking you down. Think about that Monday morning stand-up. You've got a new hire called Alex. Alex is brilliant. He blows everyone away with a big picture vision and smooth delivery that gets the whole team hyped. But by Wednesday, the mask starts to slip. Alex is suddenly line editing everyone's reports. He's second-guessing every minor decision with that classic passive-aggressive line. Your approach works, but he's planting subtle doubts about his teammates during one-on-ones, making sure he looks like the only competent person in the room. Then there's Thursday. Your closest work friend, Sam, cancels lunch for the 4th time this month. It's always the same vague excuse about things getting crazy at home, but it never quite lands right. It leaves you feeling ghosted and undervalued. And then comes the Friday finale with your boss, Taylor. In the morning, Taylor praises the team's direction and gives you public credit for a win. But in the afternoon review, Taylor shreds that exact same plan, playing favorites with blame while quietly grabbing the credit for the successful parts. These aren't just isolated bad days. These interactions happen weekly, and they chip away at your trust until your whole career momentum stalls out. You hesitate to delegate, you lose sleep replaying conversations in your head, and you start walking on eggshells. Robert Greene looks at this and says it's absolute proof of character compulsion. He believes that deep habits stamped into us during childhood force us to repeat the same failures over and over. He uses the example of Howard Hughes. On the surface, Hughes was a glamorous aviator and a Hollywood icon. But if you looked at his character, it was always the same control obsession. Whether it was firing directors or wrecking massive contracts, he was just repeating a boyhood pattern of rebellion and total control. Vivek Murthy, however, sees a different root cause: disconnection. He argues that loneliness festers quietly until people either withdraw or lash out. He tells the story of Rajesh, who hid his total isolation behind an awkward, painful silence, or Anne, who withdrew into a mortal fear after losing her husband. Their solutions crash head-on. Do you use Greene's ruthless pattern judgment or Murthy's deliberate belonging? Let's see which one actually survives your weekly chaos. Robert Greene wants you to cut through the noise. He says the biggest mistake we make is buying into the surface stuff, the charm, the fancy credentials, and the big smiles. Instead, he wants you to dig into what people actually do over time. According to Greene, real character shows up in 3 very simple tests. First, how do they handle real pressure? Do they adapt or do they fall apart? Second, do they actually share power or do they try to run everything themselves? And third, when they screw up, do they learn or do they just point fingers at everyone else? The key insight here is that people never do anything just once. Those deep compulsions, wired by genes, childhood, and daily habits, will repeat everywhere no matter the cost. Take a closer look at Howard Hughes to see how this works. To his relatives, he was just a shy, polite kid who was completely smothered by an anxious mother. But the moment his parents died, he flipped. He became abusive to his family, legally declared himself an adult at 19, and bought out every relative's shares just to seize total control. That pattern never stopped. When he was making the movie Hell's Angels, the budget exploded from $1 million to nearly $4 million because he was micromanaging every frame. Directors quit and stuntmen died because of his obsession. Later, at RKO Studios, the company tanked because he was more obsessed with controlling his actresses than running a business. It was the same boyhood rebellion, just on $1 billion scale. You can use this right now. If you're hiring someone like Alex, skip the pitch. Ask him about his toughest team failure and listen closely to what he says broke. A person of strong character will credit the team. Someone like Alex will dodge and blame inherited dysfunction. That's a danger sign. When Sam flakes for the fourth time, Greene says, that's not random, it's character. When Taylor flips from praise to rage, that's an inconsistency pattern. The bottom line is that patterns should become your main filter. Strong character is rare, but it's gold. It adapts, it learns, and it shares power. Weak character wrecks everything in its path. If you look past the front people put up, the chaos becomes entirely predictable. Now Vivek Murthy looks at that same weekly hell, the meddling, the flaking, the rages, and sees a completely different cause. To him, this isn't necessarily about bad character. It's about a loneliness epidemic that makes people defensive and disconnected. Murthy believes that people don't start out broken. Instead, isolation breaks them quietly until they withdraw, like Sam, try to control everything like Alex, or explode like Taylor. His fix is what he calls deliberate belonging. He views real, repeated connection as something that builds people up, much like how water strengthens concrete right after it's poured. Think about the story of Rajesh. He was a brilliant engineer chasing the American dream, leaving his entire family behind to take an architecture job in Miami. To his co-workers, he just seemed awkward, slick back hair, thick glasses, and almost no words. But Rajesh was hiding a massive void. He had no local friends, no family, and he was drowning in cultural gaps. When he eventually lost his job, he didn't tell anyone. He would sit at bus stops all day, waiting for buses that never showed up, just to feel like he was part of the world, until he eventually withdrew so far that it ended in tragedy. Murthy argues that simple things, sharing a walk or talking about something as mundane as concrete curing, could have eased that shame and saved him. Then there's Anne. At 88 years old, she lost her husband of 60 years. As her friends passed away and her family got busy, she started to feel what she called a lost feeling. She was a vibrant neighborhood connector who suddenly found herself terrified of losing her independence and withdrawing into isolation. Murthy's solution is to build reciprocal spaces where people trade support. He points to places like Beacon Hill Village, where members swap rides and share stories, or the Silver Lion calls that provide a friend on the sofa for lonely elders. He believes that immigrants do better with mentors and teams click better when they share meals. So how do you apply this to your chaos? If Alex seems controlling, maybe you ask if he's new in town or feeling isolated. If Sam is flaking, you send a low-stakes text just to say hello. If Taylor is raging, you offer a tiny bit of validation for the work they did do right. Murthy's bottom line is that most chaos comes from connection gaps. Small, smart reaches build belonging without burning you out. But here is the big question. Can connection really fix a compulsive meddler like Alex? Or does Greene's pattern reading catch something that Murthy's kindness misses? Imagine your project is burning. You need a team lead, and you need one fast. Alex walks in with a killer resume. He nails the pitch, promises total empowerment, and his references all seem to glow. You're desperate for someone stable, so you're tempted to jump. In Greene's view, the wrong way to handle this is to get dazzled by the polish and hire based on the vibe. If you ignore the compulsion flags, you'll pay for it by week 3. As soon as the deadline pressure hits, Alex will start rewriting everyone's code, turning the developers against the designers, and then ghosting the planning calls. The team will fracture, the project will slip, and your own reputation will take a permanent hit because your judgment was flawed. Greene says the right way is slow trust. You have to ask the hard questions. Why did you leave your last 3 wills? If he blames the teams every single time, that's your red flag. You stress test them with a mock crisis to see if they actually delegate. By cross-checking references for repeat behaviors, you might find that Sarah, a less flashy candidate, is actually the better choice because she credits her collaborators and adapts under fire. Greene saves your sanity by making you look at the track record. Murthy, on the other hand, might look at Alex and think his controlling nature comes from a lack of a network. He might suggest a day, one mentor pairing, or team meals to unlock his potential. But here is the risk. If you invest emotionally in Alex and his behavior is a deep-seated compulsion, you're going to bleed your budget and your energy while the meddling continues anyway. The hybrid win here is clear. You use Greene's pattern screen first. You filter out the toxic compulsions that Murthy's connection can't fix. Once someone passes the character test, then you apply Murthy's belonging methods to make them even more effective. High-stakes hiring demands a ruthless filter before you offer connection. Now let's look at Jordan. Jordan is that coworker who snaps occasionally in meetings, skips all the social events, and just seems completely checked out. You're already on edge because of Alex and Sam, so you're walking on eggshells. Greene's approach here is caution. Jordan's occasional snaps aren't random. You need to watch if they repeat under stress. Do they ever share credit? Greene would have you probe casually, what got you through that last tough deadline? If Jordan blames others or withdraws further, Greene says you should limit your exposure. The wrong way is to overinvest and get burned when they eventually blow up. The right way is to keep it low stakes until the patterns become clear. Murthy sees Jordan snapping as a scream for help. He assumes Jordan is wrestling with an unseen void, maybe a recent breakup or moving to a city where he knows no one. Murthy's right way is to start micro. You ask, rough week, and then you just listen. You don't try to fix it. You send a weekly low-pressure ping like coffee when you're free. By week 3, Jordan might open up about his stress, and a real ally emerges. The hybrid verdict for the grey area is to start with a Greene-style observation period for the first 2 weeks. If you don't see any truly toxic repeat behaviors, you unlock Murthy's micro-reaches. This allows you to test their characters safely. You either gain a loyal ally or you confirm that you should keep your distance, all without the drama. This is the ultimate test, your boss, Taylor. This is the person who praises you in public and shreds you in private. When the heat gets turned up, Taylor vanishes completely. After dealing with Alex and Sam, Taylor feels like an existential threat to your career. Robert Greene takes control here. He says, Taylor's behavior screams toxic passion. The morning praise and afternoon rage is a classic inconsistency compulsion. Taylor will never be the mentor you want them to be. The right way to handle this is to document everything, dates, quotes, and witnesses. You deliver your results stone-faced, you build allies in other departments, and you update your resume quietly. Greene warns you never to confront them directly because Taylor will just paint you as not a team player. You need an exit strategy because Taylor's pattern predicts they will eventually wreck the careers of those around them. Murthy would try to bridge the gap by looking for the isolation behind the rage. Maybe Taylor is divorced or just had a demotion sting. He'd suggest micro-validation. The team crushed that last quarter because of the framework you set. But there is a massive risk here. Taylor might weaponize your vulnerability against you. In this direct clash, Greene dominates. Patterns predict poison with about 90% accuracy. Taylor's compulsion will repeat regardless of how much warmth you show them. In high-risk scenarios where your career is on the line, character trumps connection every time. You use Greene's documentation to protect yourself, and you might use Murthy's microvalidation only as exit lubricant to keep your references soft as you leave. Let's move into your personal life. You've got Sam, the serial flake, and Dana, the family member who does nothing but complain. Sam cancels on everything, dinner, gym, phone calls, always with the same "things got crazy" line. Dana calls you after her husband's death, but every conversation is just a loop of grievances about how nobody cares. Both of them are draining you dry. Greene's take on Sam is that the fourth flake confirms a compulsion. Unreliable character repeats. The right way is a blunt boundary. Plans matter to me, so let's just stick to texting until things settle down for you. You protect your energy. With Dana, Greene sees a lifelong negativity loop and suggests a strict 15-minute limit on calls. You aren't there to fix her, you're there to maintain distance. Murthy, however, sees Sam's flaking as shame-driven isolation. Maybe Sam is hiding job stress or a breakup. He suggests low-stakes invites to build a sense of safety. With Dana, he sees grief-driven disconnection and suggests sharing memories to rebuild a sense of belonging. The hybrid rules for personal chaos are specific. For friendship gray areas, Sam, Murthy leads. Give them 3 low-stakes chances. If there is no shift in the pattern after 3 tries, Greene's boundary kicks in. For family drainers, Greene leads. You set the strict time limit first. If you determine it's actual grief and not just lifelong negativity, you can offer a Murthy-style memory dose within those 15 minutes. This allows you to save your energy for the connections that actually deserve it, while cutting out the predictable chaos. We've seen how these 2 books battle it out through Alex, Sam, Taylor, and Dana. Now it's time to build your own matrix. This is how you combine Greene's protection with Murthy's connection. First, high-risk scenarios, bosses, hires, partners. Robert Greene rules supreme here. You screen ruthlessly for the first 90 days. You watch how they respond to failure and whether they share power. Only after they pass the character test do you invest in Murthy-style belonging. Second, gray area relationships, distant co-workers, new friends. Murthy leads, but Greene sets the guardrails. You make 3 micro-reaches. If you don't get reciprocity, you stop. This prevents you from enabling Flakes, while ensuring you don't miss out on great people who are just going through a hard time. Third, family and long-term drains. Greene sets the boundaries first, time limits and topics, and Murthy provides the connection dose only within those safe zones. The hardest part of this is self-reflection. You have to turn the mirror on yourself. Are you repeating your own chaos? Are you constantly chasing people like Alex because you're dazzled by charm? Greene suggests journaling your own patterns. Ask yourself why you have 3 different flaky friends. Murthy suggests making 1 new safe connection every week to prevent your own isolation bias. So which book survives the week? The truth is you need both. Robert Greene's pattern recognition is your armor plating. It protects you from the controllers, the ragers, and the career wreckers. It saves your sanity by making the world predictable. But Vivek Murthy's belonging method is how you build a life worth living. It's how you turn a Jordan or a Sam into a lifelong ally. It heals the disconnection that makes life feel so heavy. The real winner is hybrid mastery. You screen every new person with a green lens for the first 2 weeks. If the lights are green, you invest with Murthy's warmth. If the flags are red, you maintain Greene's distance. You don't survive this world by hardening your heart completely, and you don't survive it by trusting blindly. You thrive by having clear eyes, ruthless judgment for your protection, and deliberate belonging for your growth. When you pick the right tool for the right person, the chaos of broken people becomes your competitive edge. You'll be the one moving forward while everyone else is still burning out.